Hey everyone, I'm DT10 and in this video I'll be reviewing and showcasing the Guns and Gear mod for Minecraft 1.18.2. This is a mod that adds tons of weapons, as well as new blocks, items, tools, armor, ores, mobs, and even vehicles to the base game, all of which I'll be going over in just a second. This is a mod by my friend Kiseki, although in the future some structures made by me will even be making it in, so definitely look out for that. If at any point in the video you'd like to download this for yourself, there is a link in the description, and if you have any questions about it then feel free to leave them in the comments and I'm sure myself or Kiseki will be able to answer them. Anyway, please consider subscribing if you enjoy, as we are getting extremely close to 1,000 subscribers, and with that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So we're going to be starting with arguably the most important feature of this entire mod, and that is the guns and all of the weapons. So these are all of the guns that this mod adds, and I've categorized these into the ammo that they actually take. So if you take a look here in the creative inventory, you've got large bullets, medium bullets, small bullets, and then shells and rockets, and then all of these guns. And as you can see, if you hover over them, they give you their cooldown, their knockback, and then which ammo they use. So these are all of the guns that use these small bullets. So you've got the suppressed combat pistol, and all of these have really cool textures, by the way. They just look a little bit smaller in the item frame for some reason. The normal combat pistol, the Tommy gun, the pistol, and then the minigun. Now you may have also noticed for some of these that when you actually hold them and you hover over them, it gives you the slowness 2 effect, as you can see right here, meaning it zooms your FOV in and you can't really walk as fast. However, it's definitely worth it because the ones that slow you down tend to be the better ones. For example, this one right here. Yeah, it's pretty overpowered. So these are really diverse. For example, some of them require you to hold them down and you can aim a little bit like that, just like you can with a bow, and then there's a bit of a cooldown. For example, this one has a cooldown of 5 ticks, whereas this one only has a cooldown of 2 ticks, and this one right here has a cooldown of 35, so you can see it varies quite a lot. Now I should also point out that, as you can see, this is a suppressed combat pistol, whereas this is a combat pistol. Now obviously this is to do with the sound that they make, so this is the sound of the normal combat pistol, and then this is the sound of the suppressed combat pistol. So you can hear that there is a difference, however it's not actually to do with the volume of the sound. Instead, the suppressed weapons actually benefit you by making the same noise as when a bullet hits you. So it sort of confuses you a little bit and makes you wonder where people are actually shooting you from. And then if we move on to the medium bullets section, there's one such as this, the scoped combat assault rifle. And as you can see, this does have a scope. However, this scope isn't just for decoration. By pressing V, what you can do is actually zoom in with your scope. So it gives you the maximum amount of slowness you can possibly have, which is slowness 5, so it zooms in your camera quite a lot, and it makes you walk really slowly, which makes it really easy to align your crosshair and shoot, just like that. And this is a super cool detail. However, I believe I'm not actually on the default controls, so if you go to your keybinds and scroll down all the way to right here, I believe, yeah, zooming in with a scope gun, you can change this to whatever you want. So these are the 2 gun attachments. However, there's only certain guns that can use these. So for example, if we look up the suppressor, you can see it can go on a combat pistol, it can go on an assault rifle, it can go on a combat assault rifle, and it's used to craft a tank remote, which we'll go over later. And yeah, that's just the combat assault rifle again, so there's only a couple of different ones that can take it. And then similarly, if we search for the scope, you can see that it can go on the combat sniper rifle, the combat assault rifle once again, and then I believe all of these are just the same. So yeah, just those 2 guns for the scope. And then if we head over to the large bullets column, you can see that all of these by now are pretty big guns. So these are rifles, scoped rifles, and combat sniper rifles. So this one actually has a much bigger scope. This one actually gives you slowness 7, I believe. If we zoom in like that, yeah, you can see slowness 7. So apologies, I don't know what I was on about earlier. The max is definitely not 5. But yeah, you can see it zooms you in really far, but I actually can't move. I am trying to move, as you can see by the particles, and I'm just moving absolutely nowhere. So you can't move when you use this one. but I can imagine this does quite a lot of damage. Then you've also got the rifle and the scoped rifle, which are both exactly the same, except with this one you can also use the scope feature. And then we'll move on to the shelled items, and we'll just give these three a go. So you've got the shotgun, the flintlock shotgun, and then the combat shotgun. And by the way, all of these are stackable up to 64. However, the rocket is not stackable at all, so it can only be stacked up to 1. And that's because it's used in conjunction with this thing right here, the rocket launcher. launcher. And this one works slightly differently to the rest of the weapons. So with all of the other weapons, all you need is just the ammo in your inventory, and then if you shoot the gun, it will obviously work. However, I am spamming right click right now, and it's not doing anything. And that's because what you have to do is actually load this gun yourself. So grab your rocket and then put it in your offhand, go back to your rocket launcher and press R, and that will actually load the rocket launcher. So as you can see, the texture changes to have this cool little rocket out the end, which I think is a really nice detail. Then you get slowness too, and then, and only then, can you press right click and fire it. And as you can see, it goes miles. I was literally stood over there and it hit this right over here. So if we grab ourselves another rocket, we can see this thing a bit closer up. If you press R to reload it once it's in your offhand and shoot it, you can see it does a decent amount of damage. It makes quite a big hole. However, that's not all of the rocket is used for. It's actually used for something else, which we'll now go over, and that is these things right here, the tank and the military tank. So they look like this when placed on the floor, and they look absolutely incredible. So the reason I put these under rocket is because to fire these, what you first need to do is right click to sit in it, just like this, and you can drive it around wherever you want. And then what you need to do is grab yourself one of these, a tank remote. So this is crafted just like this, if I can find it in GEI. As you can see, yeah, it uses a suppressor like I mentioned earlier, some redstone, some energy cells, which we'll go over in a second as well, and then a titanium ingot, which we will also be going over in just a second. So you hold this tank remote in your hand, your main hand, and then you grab a rocket and put it in your offhand, just like how we did with the rocket launcher. However, the difference here is you don't actually need to press anything once you've done this. You then just need to right click, and it will make a beeping sound, and then fire the rocket. And then it's exactly the same in the military tank right here. You just need to grab a rocket in your offhand, right click to shoot it, and there you go, that's it. Now, you may be wondering what the difference between these two tanks are, because if we have a look at the crafting recipes, you can see this one for the tank is fairly basic. You just need some green dye, some energy, and then some rubber buckets, which are crafted just like this, along with some iron blocks and a rocket. However, if we look at the normal tank crafting recipe, it requires 3 titanium blocks, plus this titanium ingot, which is 28 titanium, then a minigun, and then you also need a rocket and arc reactor, and then 2 rubber buckets. An arc reactor we will also be going over in a second. Now, the reason for this is if you grab yourself a military tank, sorry, a normal tank, and then put the tank remote in your hand and some small bullets in your offhand, you can actually hold down right click and fire a load of these small bullets. Whereas that is not something you can do in this one. So this also acts like a minigun, which is exactly why it's used in the crafting. And then you may have noticed another vehicle over here, which is the car. So you can get in this car by right-clicking it, and it makes a little horn sound, and you can see you can drive it both in first person and then in third person. However, another really helpful thing is if you get out and shift right-click, you can see you actually get car storage. So this has a built-in chest, which is super helpful for easily transporting materials, because you can just drive them around. However, out driving, there's a high likelihood that these vehicles might get damaged, and for that you're going to need a wrench. So this wrench can be used to repair the tank or car if it's damaged. So you can shift right click right here, and as you can see, it takes 1 durability off this wrench. However, in order to properly showcase this, we need to damage it, so I'm just going to shoot it a bit with a minigun. So as you can see, once this tank gets damaged, it starts to emit these smoke particles, and if you shoot it enough, the smoke particles will get even more prominent, and then it will eventually die. However, all you need to do is shift right click, and then you can repair your tank, and it might take a couple of goes depending on how damaged it is, but as you can see, the smoke particles are clearing, and then eventually they will go away completely, and your tank is fully repaired. Well, probably not fully in that example, but you get the point. Now, just before we move on to some of the blocks that this mod adds, I'd actually like to go over something really key to this mod, which is the energy system. However, before we get onto that, we'll just go over these little items. So first of all, you've got these 2 things right here, the grenade and the flashbang grenade. So the grenade is a really cool thing because it's actually unique to other projectiles in the sense that it bounces. So if I was to throw this a flat surface, as you can see, it actually bounces off and onto the floor before exploding like that. And it actually does a decent explosion and quite a lot of damage. However, the flashbang grenade is very different. So as you can see, it doesn't bounce, and it also doesn't explode. And the reason for that is if you're close to it, what it does is this. Yeah. It turns your entire screen white, and you cannot see a thing for a considerable amount of time. And then one of the other really, really cool things about the mod is this, the Jetpack. So not only does this have an amazing texture, and it also gives you 6 armor, which is just like a chest plate, so you don't lose anything for wearing it. As you can see, it basically does just enable you to fly wherever you want, and it is really, really cool. However, as you can see, it takes down a lot of the durability when it does it. And something else you will notice is if I go into survival mode and do it, and then I stop doing it, you can see I do take damage, but not nearly as much as you'd expect to. And that's because for a couple of seconds after you stop, it gives you slow falling too. And that gives you enough time to either reapply the jetpack or cancel out some of your full damage. And you might be wondering what you do if your jetpack runs out of durability. So here you can see it gets down to 1 durability, and just like an elytra, it will stop. And it will just not prevent you from doing anything else. So it can't truly break, but you will need to repair it. And to do that, you will need one of these, an energy cell. So energy is a huge part of this mod. I mean, to put it in perspective, to craft this thing, you need an arc reactor, and that is crafted with these energy cells along with a nether star. So you need to kill the wither. So this is quite a late game item, and a redstone comparator, 4 copper and 2 titanium. So this is what's called an energy generator. So as you can see, to craft this, you need 4 titanium ingots, a nether star once again, so another pretty late game item, a block of copper, 2 lightning rods, and some redstone dust. So when this is powered by redstone, as you can see, it starts going. And if we put the weather to thunder, what you can see it starts to happen is just like with lightning rods, lightning will start to strike these 2 areas right here. As you can see, it does it pretty quick, and it will generate these things. It will generate energy cells. And I believe it actually also does it in the rain, so it doesn't even require there to be a natural thunderstorm on. Yeah, as you can see, even if it's raining, it will still strike it. So like I mentioned earlier, once you've got yourself some of these energy cells, all you need to do is combine it with the jetpack in the crafting table, and only one of these cells is needed to repair it right back to full health. But yeah, energy is a huge part of this mod, and it's something that I really, really like. And then there are a couple more weapons that I didn't mention earlier. This includes the knife, the cutlass, and then the katana. So these are in order of how good they are. So the knife does 5 attack damage, but it has quite a slow attack speed. The katana does, the cutlass, sorry, does 6, but it also has the same quite slow speed. And then the katana does 7 and has a much, much faster attack speed of 3. And if you're curious how any of these are crafted, it's generally just titanium. So titanium for that one, 2 iron for that one. And then as you can see, if we search for the katana, you can see it's another 2 titanium for that one. And I think that brings us quite nicely onto titanium itself. So this comes in a ore variant right here, which you can find in lots of places underground. And when you mine this with a pickaxe, you will get this, the titanium powder. And then this powder can be used to make these titanium ingots. So what you need to do is grab yourself some of the titanium powder and combine it with an iron ingot and a smithing table, and you can create this titanium ingot like that. So it does require 1 iron for every single one of these, plus this titanium powder. And this actually does take quite a long time to mine. So if we grab ourselves a netherite pickaxe, which is obviously the fastest, you can see it takes a decent amount of time. But yeah, you can then create with this titanium blocks, which is probably exactly how you'd expect. It's just 9 of these things. Then you've got titanium plates, which are just used for decoration, and you can see that's just 4 of them, and you actually get 2, so they are a lot cheaper to create. Then you've got doors, which just also have the same standard crafting recipe along with the trapdoor. I don't actually think the trapdoor has a crafting recipe at the moment, but I'm 100% sure that'll be added at another time. That's probably just a bug. And then obviously both of these are redstone affected. However, just like with the iron door, you can't open this just by right clicking it. And then there's a couple of other generic sort of things that this mod adds, and that's the wooden crate right here, which is a super cool storage solution with a really nice looking GUI. And this adds 36 slots, which is exactly the same as the inventory, and 9 more than the standard chest. And then you've also got this thing right here, the combat helmet, which you can pop on your head for 3 extra armor and 2 armor toughness, and also just to look really cool. However, there's one other thing I haven't talked about with regards to the titanium, and it is this. You might have seen it earlier, but it is the titanium bomb. So this is crafted with 7 titanium ingots, a block of redstone, and then gunpowder. And this is basically a really powerful TNT. However, unlike TNT, this actually needs to be powered by redstone, so it cannot be powered by just a little bit of flint and steel. No, it's way too powerful for that. If you place one down and then power it with redstone, it will start to beep and give you this smoke. And that is your signal to get out of there as quickly as you possibly can, because that thing is gonna blow. And it can be a little bit laggy, but yeah, it creates a massive, massive explosion. Now, if you're wondering why it looks so weird, I guess, like you could say it does look a bit weird. I mean, it's definitely got that sort of crisscross shape and then these massive things coming out of it. Well, that is because this is simply an amplified TNT explosion. And for whatever reason, in Minecraft's code, if you amplify a TNT explosion, it just goes mental. It starts to create these really, really strange shapes. But I actually quite like it. I think it looks really quite industrial and quite cool. But yeah, that is the titanium bomb. It is absolutely lethal. And you can imagine what a lot of these can do. But just in case you can't imagine what this will do, I'm going to power a block of 12. And you can see for yourself. Now, it doesn't actually look like there's much damage here at all. I mean, you know, it's created some pretty crazy patterns. And it has torn through the entirety of this mountain. But what's really crazy is if you come over here, this has actually killed these item frames. So it's killed these entities over here. And look how far away from it we are. It's also wiped out every single one of these item frames. And these mobs right here that I had lined up, yeah, they're all gone as well. So it's safe to say these titanium bombs are absolutely insane. And then a couple of other things just before we get onto those final mobs is these things right here. The sand landmine and the red sand landmine. So obviously there's got a bit of a circle on, so you can sort of distinguish between them. But if you have a look right here, if this is around sand, it can be pretty difficult to see. And then you just stand on this, and as you'd expect, it gives you an explosion. And then the final thing I'll go over, like I mentioned just a second ago, is the mobs. If we sort of just repair these capsules that I had going on right here, you've got a thug and you've got a soldier, and these people absolutely despise each other. So as you can see, if we sort of block them in with each other and break this glass, they will instantly start fighting one another. And yes, they both have weapons, although the soldier did not do anything there. Wow, that is terrible. Oh, there we go. If you put them a little bit further away, the soldier will actually have a better go at shooting them. As you can see, he does a pretty good job. He does a lot more damage, but he can tend to be a bit less accurate. And as you can see, for close range, that's another soldier. For close range, the thug is generally much, much more powerful. However, there's also another mob, the thug leader. And this thing literally has a boss bar. And it also looks really, really cool. So if I spawn in a load of these soldiers, they will obviously go and try and fight this guy. And they did actually manage to kill it, but they don't do a fantastic job. He wipes out all of them in one hit with his gun. And they do quite a lot of damage, but he does regenerate. So he can actually be pretty difficult to kill. Because, yeah, his damage regeneration is just absolutely instant. But yeah, that's going to do it for this mod review. It has been absolutely chaotic, but that is pretty much all that this mod has to offer. I did not expect our Stony Beach to end up like this at all. But just to recap a little bit, we've got so many guns, 19 to be precise, all of which have unique crafting recipes using these gun frames. And if you'd like to have a look at any of these, literally just look up gun frame and then right click them and you can see quite how many unique recipes there are. And I also haven't been able to go over all of these guns because they're all just so different. For example, the Tommy gun is a personal favorite of mine. Yeah, so many of these I haven't been able to go over, but I would highly recommend downloading this mod for yourself and checking them all out. Then you've also got the 2 gun attachments, all of the different types of bullets, the red sand and then a normal sand landmines, the 2 types of grenades, the jetpack, the combat helmet, the various titanium and energy stuff, the wooden crate, all of the mobs, the types of knives, the tanks, the car, the wrench, the tank remote, and then the rubber bucket. It is an absolute jam-packed mod, and it's only going to get bigger, what with the addition to the structures and stuff, and I know Kaseki has loads more planned for this mod, so definitely be sure to look out for that. And at the end of this video, I'd also just like to say, this spawn is absolutely crazy. You spawn over here, and there's this insane, like, ravine going into a lush cave with a massively open cliffside, some random trees and mushroom stuff, and then just this. This has nothing to do with the mod at all. I just absolutely love how 1.18 looks, and with that, I think we're going to round off the video here. So please go and show Kaseki some support by downloading this mod or any of the other mods that she has made, and be sure to tell me what your favourite feature of this mod is down in the comments. But that's it. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or comment, and if you'd like to see more content like this, then please subscribe. But I've been DT10, and I will see you in the next video.